Adarsh Gaurav in The White Tiger. Photo, Tejinder Singh Kamka. Netflix. Ramin Bahrani might be one of the most American of directors, an artist who has explored the agony, irony, and tragicomic pretzel logic of that thing we so guilelessly call the American dream. So it might feel odd at first to see his name on Netflix's adaptation of The White Tiger, Aravind Adiga's Booker Prize-winning 2008 Bildungsroman about a lowly driver's ambitious, grisly rise to success in the rapidly changing India of the 2000s. The book, a global bestseller that launched 1,000 think pieces in its day, is not just about one man's journey but also a totalizing, occasionally tongue-in-cheek meditation on the fractured nature of Indian society. It's a dense, maximalist page-turner. Bahrani, however, tends to work in a more minor key. His narratives are often spare, finding drama and poetry in glances, gestures, subtle juxtapositions that reveal a broader vision of the world. His first two features, Man Push Cart and Chop Shop, are getting Criterion editions next month. The connection makes a bit more sense when one learns that Adiga actually dedicated his novel to Bahrani, the Iranian-American filmmaker and the Indian-Australian author, it turns out, have been close friends since college. But it's still an odd fit, and perhaps Bahrani knows it. He opens The White Tiger in uncharacteristic fashion, with a burst of pop music across a rapidly cut framing sequence introducing us to our protagonist and narrator, Balram Adarsh Gaurav, a driver who, for just this night, has been dressed up like a Maharaja by his wealthy boss, Ashok Rajkumar Rao, and his wife, Pinky Priyanka Chopra Jonas, who also executive produced as they drunkenly careen through a darkened highway. There's even a variation on one of those overused, sudden freeze-frame breaks that prompts the narrator to jump back in time. Balram doesn't actually say, "You might be wondering what I'm doing here," but he might as well. For its first hour or so, The White Tiger is a dizzying swirl of narrative and style. Bahrani directs energetically, deftly slicing through Balram's early years, but the stylization can feel a bit borrowed, often relying on familiar storytelling devices. Maybe that's strangely appropriate to the idea of a protagonist living a borrowed life. The story is framed as the recollections of Balram, who in the film's present of 2010 is an entrepreneur who owns a car service in Bangalore, as he relays his shady path to power via candid, overly familiar, slightly delusional emails to then Chinese Premier Wen Jiabao, who is due to visit India soon. Balram, who, we learn, now has a price in his head, proffers a lot of opinions and observations about his country, and about the rural town from which he hails, in what he calls the darkness, a metaphor for the vast, uneducated, impoverished swaths of India.